Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by Play Picks and the Lines. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined as always by my guy on the East Coast, Nate Weitzer. We are looking at Monday night's NBA playoff slate, a couple of games, 8-1 matchups, Nate, that we are going to dive into here. We did have an opportunity for a gift card with that big three on Brooklyn. Their total points ended at 96 in their loss to the Celtics in Game 3. But we are going to move that forward. So make sure you are liked and subscribed to the page. Jump in the comments and let us know the prop answer that we'll give you here in just a minute. And if you do still need a FanDuel or DraftKings account, head to fdpicks.com or dkpicks.com. Find all those sweet NBA playoff promos and listings in your area. And let's jump into Monday night slate right now, Nate, and get into it.
Yeah, apologies for not getting a Sunday show up, you guys. We were so shocked by the Celtics pulling out a win that we were unable to record. Also, Josh was at a wedding posing as a cop in Tahoe. So we move on to Monday, and we have the Sixers looking to close out the sweep, -7.5 at Washington. Total is 230. The Wizards, pretty big underdogs, +240 at home. And then the Jazz are -5 at Memphis. Donovan Mitchell has been back for a couple games now. He really helped close out that fourth quarter along with Mike Conley. Got them a 10-point win in Game 3, but it was really a little closer than that final score would indicate. I'm definitely not counting on the Jazz to cover on the road here. But some things I do like is the Jazz to start hotter and lead by -2.5 at the half, getting you -115. Logic for that is just that Memphis kind of takes some time to warm up, to get to ride that crowd there at the Grindhouse. And they've been showing that trend of coming back late behind the defense of Dillon Brooks and the offense of Ja Morant. I am expecting to see a lot of offense down the stretch between both these teams. Mitchell, it's interesting, his individual numbers in the fourth quarter this season, 118 offensive rating, but also a 118 individual defense rating. And he plays at 103 possessions per 100 possessions. So fast, it goes fast when Donovan gets the ball in his hands a lot. Now we have Mike Conley also playing very well down the stretch, clearly motivated a little by some disrespect from Dillon Brooks, his former teammate, motivated by playing in Memphis, the franchise that reared him. And he had a stellar game in Game 3. So expecting a lot of points in the fourth quarter, I would look at that market for the over just for that quarter as well. You can also get the Jazz to be the first team to get 25 points in that fourth quarter, because for me, the matchup here is just that Memphis can't find consistent offense without Jonas Valanciunas. But they also can't guard the Jazz pick and roll game with Jonas. And you saw that in that fourth quarter. They went back to him when they struggled to score for a little bit. And as soon as he did, Conley and Mitchell just got anywhere they wanted on the floor, getting into the middle of the paint and just throwing up nice little floaters. Mitchell getting 10 of his 29 points in that game. He's still only up to 29 minutes, but as his conditioning ramps up, we could see him get over 30 in this one. He's had no problem with Memphis defensively, so I would look at his props as well. And again, we like the combined total. I mean, Jazz are averaging 131 since Mitchell got back in there. So if you take their team total at 114, no problem with that. Take the over at 224. It's only up 1 point from that last game. And parlay Jazz money line with the over, you get +185. I don't think the way Ja Morant is performing that the Memphis Grizzlies are going to have any sort of slowdown, and they like to play fast. And neither of these teams with their true centers can stop the other one. So overs all around here.
Yep. I love the over here. I can't believe it's still sitting at 224. If this climbed up to near 229, I would still consider it. I think you are going to see it over 230 in this game. Unlike the other 8-1 matchup that day, I do think that Memphis has a fighting chance. They continue to show what they're capable of. As you mentioned, they're able to draw Rudy away from the bucket. Jonas has been playing a little bit, further out in sort of the extended post rather than just camping down low, keeping Rudy a little bit away from the basket, allowing some space for Ja and Dylan Brooks to do what they do and keep those shooters open as well for Memphis. The couple that they do have, Grayson Allen shooting pretty well this series as well. And honestly, Nate, like what we talk about when it comes to the NBA playoffs, who's going to have the ball in their hands and who's going to be playing. This isn't the regular season where you might see a late scratch for no reason, or, they'll consider, keeping Donovan Mitchell on the bench for his normal rest. Like that's not how this works in the playoffs. Who has the ball in their hands and who's capable of making plays. We saw Donovan score 2 50-point games in one series last playoffs. So we know that he is ready to bring it every single playoffs. I'm going to continue to ride him. The only game that, that it still went over, but the only game that was 220 and not 230 combined score in this series was game 1 when Donovan didn't play. He comes in rearing like a freight train, like you said. So I love the downhill play for him and Mike Conley to continue his sort of Dr. Revenge against his old team in the Memphis Grizzlies there. So really loving the overs. I do like the idea of this game being under 6 points either way. So I do feel better taking the points with Memphis and then just, targeting a bunch of player props for Ja and Donovan Mitchell, as well as the total points there for the game. So a slightly different look at the other 8-1 matchup on Monday night. Nate, we've got Philly and Washington. Philly looking to close this thing out with a sweep. And I think, it's a case of Washington blew their shot at potentially winning game 1 and stealing one to avoid the full sweep. I don't really know what they're going to be able to bring here if their role players continue to just be absolutely putrid after game 1. Davis Bertans, Advia, there's really even Ish Smith. There's nobody stepping up in any way outside of Beal and Westbrook. And you watch Westbrook continue to force and work. And he's continuing to turn the ball over at a rate of 4 times a game, despite still averaging about 17 points and almost 12 assists. But really, at the end of the day, the storyline of this series is going to be one team has Joel Embiid and one team is shooting 42% from 3. That's Philly. And then one team does not have Joel Embiid and they are shooting 23% from 3. That's the Wizards. I don't know why they would increase their shooting ability. At this point, they failed to score, more than 105 points in 2 straight games. And you look at what they do at home, they give up a ton more points. And that's really why I think you'll continue to see Philly be able to score. They've scored 120 in all 3 games. And at this point, with their team total at 119.5, I continue to love that, especially with them on the road, being able to have Embiid put up those free throws. You saw his points increase game over game. I really, really like his 39.5 points, rebounds, and assists. He did fail to do that in the first 2 games, but I think he's ready for closeout time. And you'll continue to see him chop it up like he did in game 3 and get to the foul line at will, and easily get over that 39.5 points, rebounds, and assists. And then I also love Ben Simmons, who's been, like I said, we know what we're going to get from Ben Simmons in the playoffs. It's not going to be a ton of points, but it is going to be a ton of hustle plays, rebounds, and assists. So his points, rebounds, and assists sitting at 27.5. He's done that in all 3 games. I think he'll continue to do that in this series with really zero players on the Wizards able to match up with him and his size all over the floor as he continues to cause problems down low as well with Embiid. And Tobias Harris is even going down low, getting, he led the team in rebounds last game. I don't really understand, like I said, the wing players for Philly. There's nobody on Washington that can really hang with them. And I think, by the middle of the fourth quarter, you'll probably see Russ continuing to just blaze through people and probably come out somewhere in the middle of the fourth quarter as they're down double digits and probably just call this a series.
Yeah, and credit Simmons for the job he's done on Westbrook really for a couple seasons now. That's why he's not putting up big numbers against Philly. And as we've seen for months, the Wizards, the only reason they're here is because Westbrook has been putting up absurd numbers. Bradley Beal, doing his best with 30 points per game in the series, but shooting just 15% from 3. You mentioned the role players. Washington just doesn't have the bodies. They don't have the depth that Philly has. We're talking about their big 3, but we're not even mentioning guys like Danny Green and Seth Curry and the depth that they have in the backcourt that's just overwhelming Washington. I think the fourth quarter has been so lopsided in the last 2 with Philly sporting a 33 net rating that I love the pull away for a blowout here. I think you look at an alternate line, you can get plus 125 on Philly to win by at least 10 points. On DK, you can go higher if you want to get closer to plus 200. And they fixed this hack a little bit Philly to lead at the half and to win as a money line hack. It's now minus 165. It was minus 120 for the last game, which was easy pickings. Because Philly is not messing around. In a condensed COVID season, it's not time for a gentleman's sweep, right? You want to juice every last day of rest you can get between rounds. They know that they'll have a tired Hawks or Knicks squad coming in for the next series, and they want to wrap this up and do it decisively, put some of those playoff demons to bed. I like them, just like the Bucks, putting this one away decisively and winning by double digits in game 4.
Love that. And before we do end today's show, Nate, I don't want to forget that gift card opportunity. It is going to be for that Grizzlies and Jazz game 4. Let us know the combined points of those superstar guards in Donovan Mitchell and Ja Morant. Jump into those comments. Make sure you're liked and subscribed to the page to let us know the combined points of Ja Morant and Donovan Mitchell. We'll look to shell out that gift card to whomever is able to guess that. And we will be back with a show for Tuesday night as we continue to roll in these super exciting NBA playoffs. We will continue to eye those player props and take advantage of this 8-1 matchup that we still have on Monday night and be back with you guys later this week. And as for tonight, happy betting.